What if I told you the future of this hockey season could vanish in just 37 days? That's the reality we're facing right now. Fans everywhere are holding their breath, wondering, will there even be a season this year? The word lockout is one that sports fans have heard before. But do you really know what it means? Unlike a strike, where players refuse to play, a lockout is when the league itself locks the doors and stops the players from stepping on the ice. It usually happens because league officials and the players' union can't agree on money, contracts, or working conditions. And when the games stop, everyone feels it. Players, teams, fans, TV networks, even the businesses that depend on hockey. But here's the thing, this isn't new. Lockouts have happened many times in pro sports, and in hockey, they've left some of the deepest scars. So here's the big question. Why does hockey keep getting locked out? And what made the 2004-2005 lockout so devastating that it erased an entire season from history? Stick around, because we're diving into the story. Before we start, make sure you hit that subscribe button and give this video a like so you don't miss more deep dives into hockey history, right here on Pucknuts. Lockouts in sports history. Lockouts and strikes aren't just a hockey problem. They've been part of sports history for a long time. Back in 1972, Major League Baseball had its very first strike. The NFL saw players walk out in both 1982 and 1987. The NBA even had a lockout during the 1998-99 season. Baseball went through another huge strike in 1994-95. And hockey? The NHL has had 3 major lockouts in the last 30 years. Each one shook the league to its core. Each one pushed players and owners further apart. And each one left fans feeling frustrated, let down, and even questioning their love for the game. The first modern NHL lockout, 1994-95. The NHL's first big lockout in the modern era came in 1994. The main issue was the idea of a salary cap. Team owners argued that a cap was necessary to control spending and keep the league financially healthy. But the players, led by the NHL Players Association, NHLPA, felt it was unfair, a way to hold back their earnings. The NHL also floated the idea of a luxury tax, which would have forced teams that spent too much money to pay extra fees. To the players, though, this looked like the same thing as a salary cap, just under a different name, and they weren't willing to agree. The lockout dragged on for more than 3 months, lasting from October 1st, 1994 to January 11th, 1995. In the end, 468 games were lost, including the All-Star game. Many players even went through training camps expecting the season to start on time, but the rinks stayed empty. Fans had to wait until mid-January before hockey finally returned. The most recent fight, 2012-13. Almost 20 years later, the NHL found itself in the same mess all over again. On September 16, 2012, the league's contract with the players expired. Right away, Commissioner Gary Bettman and the owners locked the players out. The season was supposed to kick off in October, but instead of the usual 82 games, fans only got 48. So what caused the fight this time? The owners wanted to cut down the players' share of league revenues, shorten the length of contracts, and change how free agency worked. The players, though, were asking for something very different. More fair revenue sharing and stable salary limits that didn't rise and fall with league earnings. The lockout dragged on for 119 days. Finally, on January 6, 2013, both sides reached an agreement. By January 12th, everything was signed and hockey was back. But by then, fans had already lost months of the season, and many were left wondering why money battles kept getting in the way of the sport they loved. Setting the stage, 2004 in hockey. Between the 1994 lockout and the 2012 lockout came the darkest chapter in NHL history, the 2004-2005 lockout. To really understand it, we need to step back and look at hockey in 2004. That year, the Tampa Bay Lightning had just won the Stanley Cup after an intense 7-game battle with the Calgary Flames. Martin St. Louis was at the top of his game, finishing the season as the league's scoring leader with 94 points. In net, Martin Brodeur was a workhorse, playing 75 games and posting a solid .917 save percentage. On the ice, the sport was full of excitement and star power. But behind the scenes, things weren't nearly as bright. Trouble was already building, and soon it would shut the league down completely. Why 2004 was different? Before the lockout, NHL teams were spending almost 76% of their income on player salaries. That number was way higher than in other big sports leagues. The result? Many teams were losing money. Some even went bankrupt, while others were forced to trade away their star players just to survive. Commissioner Gary Bettman and the team owners wanted big changes. Their answer was a salary cap that would be directly tied to league revenues. In simple terms, the more money the NHL made, the more teams could spend on players. If revenues went down, spending would go down too. The players, led by NHLPA chief Bob Goodenow, strongly opposed this plan. They wanted to keep negotiating salaries freely, team by team, without strict limits. To them, a salary cap felt like giving up ground they had already fought hard to win. Proposals and rejections. All through 2003 and 2004, the league and the players kept trading proposals, but nothing stuck. The NHL put 6 different systems on the table, some modeled after the NFL, others after the NBA, and even one based on Major League Soccer. The players turned them all down. The NHLPA came back with its own plan: more revenue sharing between teams, a luxury tax on the big spenders, a small temporary salary rollback, and some changes to rookie contracts. But the league brushed it aside, saying it leaned too much in favor of the players. As the months went by, both sides only dug in deeper. Neither wanted to give an inch. Finally, in September 2004, the NHL pulled the trigger and officially announced a lockout. The breakdown of talks. The talks dragged on and turned ugly. At one point, the NHLPA even offered a one-time 24% salary cut along with a luxury tax system. The league still refused. Bettman and the owners kept pushing for a hard salary cap. The players kept saying no. By February 2005, things reached a breaking point. Bettman warned that if no deal was made soon, the entire season would be canceled. The players offered to accept a $52 million salary cap, but only if it wasn't tied to league revenues. The league came back with a much lower number, $40 million. The players rejected it again. As a last attempt, Bettman put a $42.5 million cap on the table, plus some benefits. The union countered with $49 million. The gap was just too wide. The two sides walked away. On February 16, 2005, Bettman made it official. The NHL season was canceled. For the first time in history, a major North American sports league lost an entire season to a labor dispute. Life without hockey. The lockout dragged on for 310 long days. Fans had no NHL games to watch, and the rinks stayed dark. But hockey itself didn't vanish. Many of the league's biggest stars packed their bags and headed overseas. Russia, Sweden, Finland, and Switzerland became temporary homes for players who refused to sit idle. Back in North America, minor leagues like the AHL and ECHL saw a boost too, with bigger crowds and more money coming in. And without the NHL, fans started turning to international hockey. Tournaments and leagues outside North America suddenly drew more attention than ever before. The NHL may have been silent, but the game of hockey kept on living. The aftermath, a new agreement. On July 21, 2005, NHL players voted 87% in favor of a new deal. The next day, all 30 team owners agreed, and the lockout finally ended. The agreement changed the league forever. It introduced a salary cap tied to NHL revenues, a minimum salary for players, guaranteed contracts, and revenue sharing to help smaller teams. The first cap was set at $39 million per team, with players guaranteed 54% of league revenues. So as the league grew, their paychecks grew too. Leadership changes. The new deal also changed leadership. Bob Goodenow, who had strongly opposed the salary cap, stepped down shortly after it was signed. Ted Saskin, previously handling business matters for the NHLPA, replaced him. On the league side, Bill Daly was promoted to deputy commissioner, both helping finalize the agreement. The hidden silver linings. The lockout was painful, but its long-term impact was surprising. Teams became more stable financially, and franchise values climbed. The Pittsburgh Penguins, once close to collapse, grew stronger after drafting Sidney Crosby and opening a new arena. TV deals with NBC and the launch of NHL Network boosted exposure, leaving the league healthier than before. Fans' perspective. For fans, the 2004-2005 lockout is still a painful memory. Losing an entire season felt like a deep betrayal. For almost a year, hockey lovers were left with only minor league or international games to follow. Even now, many view that lost year as proof that greed and pride can ruin what people love most. Conclusion. The NHL has faced 3 major lockouts since 1994, but none hurt more than the one in 2004-2005. That year showed us just how far apart players and owners can be, and how fast an entire season can simply disappear. It was 310 long days without NHL hockey, a season completely erased. Yes, the league survived. The players came back, the arenas filled again, and hockey eventually moved forward. But that lost season still stands as a reminder of what happens when money and pride take over the game we all love. So here's something to think about. Could it happen again? And if it did, how would fans react this time? Would the sport bounce back as strong as before? Or would the damage last even longer? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown and want more stories like this, don't forget to hit subscribe and give this video a like. You'll find plenty more hockey history and deep dives right here on Pucknuts.